Hello everyone, and today I will be talking through Season 3 of the Dwayne Johnson competition, which was called Hsowtime Season, which that'll make a little more sense later, maybe, I don't know. But it's a season that was intended to be 100 people, but only turned out to be 60 to 70 people, which is still a pretty good amount. And yeah. Season 3 started with a good amount of people, as I said, 60 to 70, and it started with everyone choosing a different team. Those teams being Team E, the Invaders, a better, cooler name, the Toy Freddies, Lounge, and Amity Society. There's also Team Flame and Pufferfish Gaming still, which were pretty full at the time. While selecting teams, there was a little joke going around saying that I should be on a team by myself because of how strong of a competitor I was. And this was kind of a running joke throughout the entire season, to where, since I was so strong, I should just be by myself and my team should be weakened. And later on, my team was weakened, let me say that. There are new voting guidelines with the new season due to the sheer amount of people, and there would be 2 eliminations per day now, just to try and even out the numbers by the time of the next season. And with the new season, there's also a new intro to be made, and because of how I performed in the intro challenge last season, Dwayne asked me to make the intros. Which, intros, they were fun to make, but god, they are exhausting. The first challenge we did for Season 3 was Garctic phone, kinda funny, since we already did that like 2 times previously. And along with that, there's also a custom night challenge, to where we just had to make our own custom night of the Dwayne Johnson competition server, and along with everyone in the Dwayne Johnson cinematic universe. On to the first intro, that should be showcasing, I believe, all of the custom nights, and maybe Garctic phone even.
my name is Markiplier, and welcome to Five Nights at Freddy's. Go away! Slightly sassy.
What's going on, guys? Dorco back again. Silly. Jump scare. Jump scare.
After the intro was uploaded, Jason pointed out that I put Mercy instead of Marcy since I read his bio wrong, which I found that rather funny at how dyslexic I was. I fixed that mistake up for the next intro, so it was all good later on. With the two challenges being over, there were some eliminations. First one being Bill. Now, Bill's text was translated into some sort of different language, and his text reads, Goodbye, Bill. I've never seen you grow up like this, but I hope you have a good time in Russia. So I guess it's Russian. And one of my teammates, Swagger, was also sadly removed from the competition. There was a little sort of dilemma to where one of my teammates didn't know that there was a challenge since he was never paying about it, and this is where the challenge pane was created just so people would be notified when there was a challenge. The next challenge was for people to go into a group chat and pair up with someone. In this group chat, we just had to say some sort of challenge to Dwayne, and it kind of created a funny moment, which I'll show here real quick. This is how my group chat went, and Cinder said, child, word I can't say on YouTube, speedrun. And at first I was like, bad, and then Dwayne said, you've chosen. We didn't really have a choice, so that was funny. And Nard kindly showed me a screenshot of his, to where the first thing he did was just change his name to a pufferfish screenshot. That was nice. Anyways, back to the previous screenshot. We get to see the results of the challenge and all of their different stuff. So again, mine was the child, not YouTube friendly speedrun. Heckles and Crobat came up with the Thinking Chef emote. Nito and Karma came up with the Kahoot, which that would have been fun, but as we saw in last season, that flopped. Sush and Tangle Mangle came up with Connect 4, Tibbets and SB came up with nothing. Duggan and Pizza Lover came up with icon creating, Jason and Charlin came up with drawing Amity, Sayasuke and Madeline came up with Super Smash Flash 2, Robin, Spook, and Jigga came up with icon creating, and Eeveeon and Gumball came up with miniature trials. After all of the challenges were provided, some people actually did their challenge, and some of those we couldn't do, so Dwayne just judged them himself. And so here goes those. Tibbets and SB came up with nothing, and the team does not win the prize. My team and Heckle's team came up with difficult challenges, and those teams will not win the prize either. Eeveeon and Gumball's team had the most messages out of everyone, they will not win the prize. Nuggets and Robin Spook's team had the same idea, they will not win the prize. Nito's and Charlie's team never attempted a challenge, they will not win the prize. Madeline didn't win against Sayasuke, they will not win the prize. Tingle Mingle didn't win against Sush, they will not win the prize. It is between Sush and Sayasuke, both moderators of the server, but Sayasuke sent more messages. Well done, Sush, you got the prize. Sush decided to put these 10 people up for elimination, which led to Ashton's death. For some reason there was a long period where Dwayne became inactive, so 3 days later, Dwayne asked the moderators what a challenge idea should be, and we came up with an Uno tournament. So here's just some screenshots going through kinda how people progress through the Uno tournament. However, in one of those screenshots, it was shown that there would be a special guest as a finale, and that was decided to be Dwayne, which will be shown in this next intro. Dwayne went against Penrose, and he won, and jokingly said Teamy will be up for elimination due to losing, which is kind of funny, and Shows how powerful Dwayne truly is. However, after losing the Uno tourney, Yellow Man was eliminated, and Cannabis Man, Dark Flames, and Char-City were also eliminated. Jeez, a lot of eliminations. After that, there was a puzzle challenge, and luckily enough, in this next intro, the puzzles were included, so I don't have to solve them myself. So here's that. After Dwayne raided the puzzles, and Sect, I don't know how to say that name, and Darth were eliminated, and Squiglium was also eliminated, again a member of my team, sad to see him go. And the next challenge was to create a banner, or there is a secondary special option, which I'll get to in a little bit here. Now, there were two artists on my team, that being Real Funlock and Karma. However, they were kind of busy with stuff. Sky had to work on commissions, and Karma, I don't think Karma was actually doing anything. So I asked him if, hey, he could do something or submit something at least, in which he said sure. And then he never did. As much as I like Karma, he contributed nothing to my team. Anyways, on to the second option, which he provided a game jaunt link, and on that game jaunt link was another link, which sent us to this competitor bio quiz. So what you had to do was look at the bio of each contestant, and link that bio to the name of the person. So I came up with a list for my team just to help us out, and afterwards, the bio quiz stats were shared. The people that had the least correct percentage were put up for elimination. As you can see here with Sayasuke asking about that. And the banners that the other teams created were shown in the next intro, which I'll show now. In that intro, there were 2 secret messages, one being October Spooky Month, and the second being It's Hsowtime. As it said, Hsowtime will kinda come into play later. But before that, we have to go through the eliminations. Ketsuk was eliminated, along with Delman. And Penrose and Heckles were also eliminated. Geez, so many eliminations. Hsowtime is really deadly. I find it strange how my team never submitted a banner, but we were not put up for elimination. So, like, Team Eve was put up for elimination since they had the lowest score. Which, I don't know, I found that kind of bullshit, but oh well. It helped my team, so I'll take it. Now with a little more clarification on what Hsowtime is. So, Hsowtime is a particularly special part of the year. During October, each member will be spooked, scared, and most importantly, have fun. With double the voting and half the simplicity, Hsowtime will most likely drag you to your grave. Good luck. So basically, Hsowtime is just an extremely deadly part of the competition, where there's going to be many elimination and many challenges, so each competitor really has to stay on top of things. During the banner competition, there's a little silly thing that happened in Team E where Raptor was asking for the challenge pin roll, and then when he was given it, he didn't realize it, and Dwayne was saying he was being ungrateful about it. It was kind of funny to see. Out of the way though, the next challenge was to play scary games. Now, each team was given a different game to play. So Swivelhand Bashers had 5 Nights at Candy's and 1 Night at Flunkies. My team started with Animator's Hell, although since I did 25 so quickly, he gave me a second one, which was to do the first 3 nights in Joy Creation. Team E had to do the first 5 nights of Pop Goes, that's a really long one. And Pufferfish Gaming had to do Aooni. No clue what the other teams had to do, to be honest, since they're not there, and I'm too lazy to dig a little further. Anyways, a little more clarification on that Animator Cell challenge. So, all we had to do was just beat 5, but I said, hey, what if I beat 25, since I spent so much time on this game and I had the skills to do it, so I figured why not. But since I did it so quickly, Dwayne decided it's too easy. I don't quite agree, because there's only 3 people ever that have beaten it, but I'll let him believe that, sure. Anyway, since I truly went above and beyond with this challenge, Dwayne gave me the opportunity to put 10 people up for elimination. Now throughout this competition, every elimination so far has been the same. Vote the quiet person that doesn't contribute anything. I wanted to change that. I decided to put the 10 most active people up for elimination. And this sparked tension. Now the main person that was against this was Hibbits. Hibbits continuously called me an asshole for doing this, said I was not funny. I just tried to say I wasn't trying to be funny. I wanted to make the competition feel like a competition. However, as I went on, Hibbits just kind of became more aggressive to others. And some people try to explain it how Hibbits lashing out really wasn't giving herself a good name to others, and her continuously lashing out against those saying that she's lashing out really proved our point. And this is where Operation Kill Hibbits came in for me. So I tried to explain how Hibbits kinda, in a way, manipulated votes to her liking. She would always try to vote others and say, hey, let's vote them instead of voting this person because I like them. And with that, she kind of knows that people train along, and she really tried to abuse that system, it seemed like. And another thing is she tried to appeal to empathy, especially in this specific vote that I just started. Now, I won't explain what she was appealing to for personal reasons. I don't want to leak her personal life. But if you're watching this video, I am truly sorry for what you had to go through, and no one really should have to go through that, especially at such a young age. But in the competition, it's about strategy, and I wanted to do what I knew would be best for moving forward. During this vote, it was really tough between Nugget and Hibbits, and Dwayne said that if the votes get tied, both will be eliminated. This was rather scary, knowing that more people than we wanted might die. And a decision was eventually made, and both Vi and Nugget were the ones to go. Hibbits luckily survived the vote, even after the spread of information why she should be voted off. And after Nugget being eliminated, Gumball made this really cool art of just a tombstone, showing Nugget saying, I died again, but this time I did a good job. Since Gumball is really a fan of Nugget. Anyways, with that drama-filled stretch out of the way, here's another intro to hopefully lighten the mood. Now, in that intro at the end, you kind of saw there were those Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson memes. And there is a purpose for that, and that's because the next challenge was to create our own meme of sorts of Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Now, a lot of people went with the same format of like Dwayne the Croc Johnson, Dwayne the Doc Johnson, but several other people are also really creative with it, which we'll see in the next intro. Because of how Team E performed with the banner challenge, with Raptor drawing 2 amazing banners I believe it was, Penrose was brought back into the competition. Also at some point, Gumball drew this amazing group photo of everyone in the competition. I think it's really cool at how everyone here is in one frame. Kinda just see how, despite there being drama and we're all supposed to be enemies, we're all kinda one big family in a way here. Anyways, intro time.
Two, one, go!
Now, since Team E won that challenge, they had the privilege of putting anyone they want for elimination. Now they had a plan, and it was rather similar to mine. Put up active people, and hope to just kinda destroy a team in a way. They wanted to get Sayasuke eliminated, and they kinda also realized the fact that people train along to votes a lot. So they thought that if they started to vote on Sayasuke, other people would start training along. However, once the vote was uploaded, Jonak started to go against their idea, saying that he doesn't think he can vote an active member, especially knowing when there's someone else on that roster that would be less active and probably a better vote just to keep the competition more alive. And that person was Real Funlock, one of my team members, so I wasn't a fan of it, as you can probably tell. Here you can see Team E is kind of getting aggressive towards Jonak, asking why he isn't going along with their vote, and Jonak just simply says that he can. And sadly the vote ended up losing Sky and Cinder, both of my teammates, so this really hurt, especially since those are both of like the ones that can actually draw. And they were actually somewhat active. Sky was really active, Cinder kinda. And I was really only left with one good artist, that being Karma, which Karma never looked at the competition. Yay! So after that devastating vote, there was just a bit of humor sparked in, mainly in the danger zone I think this was. Eeveeon says everyone versus Frogger, huzzah. And for some reason there is this extra vote where a future OU got eliminated. Intro time. Alright, now the end of that intro kinda had a pixelated challenge, and that was a hint towards what the next challenge would be. Which Hibbits did some searching in the description and found a comment saying that the next challenge was a pixel art challenge. Which after that finding, Dwayne announced the challenge publicly to everyone, and we had to create a pixel art of anything related to the competition. Now I kinda like the freedom with this one, and honestly pixel art, I'm not the worst at, so hey, maybe it's something I can do. However, before showing the pixel art, I want to show the most beautiful art piece that I think came out of this competition. This came from Raptor, and it's a name that isn't talked much in the competition because a lot of people fear it. Behold, Raptor Swivelhands, who I think is really the star of the show. What a great beast. Anyways, intro.
Chungus, your mama's toes to have fungus. I'm gonna go play some monkeys, and then gonna kill you like a Tungus, which is a member of an indigenous people of northern Siberia, if you didn't know that. I'm a pop, I'm a Buddha mug, you pull the plug on you, drop you in Buddha, drink a bug, and a big fat chug. Five Nights at Freddy's, that's where I wanna be. You wanna crack these? Nuts going in your mouth. Man, I love making these nuts in your mouth, so Five Nights at Freddy Bees. Now this looks like Patrick, he's a fat dick. Now my ass is sick, my little brother has done a lick. There's no remorse to be as corrupt as the Brazilian police force. Your rapping skills really need to get in check. The words so random, people scream, what the heck? Rhythm is so lacking, you must...
One pixel art that was not shown in the intro was Ketsuk's piece, so here that is. After the pixel art challenge, Jason was eliminated, and there's also another vote that got Robotnik and Performa eliminated. Which Performer's name was changed to the Milkman, so there's confusion there. Hopefully that clears it up. Now, the next challenge was to create an emoji based on anyone in the competition. This was just so voting could be a bit more organized, so everyone has their own emoji to vote on. However, this challenge was different, to where people wouldn't be put up for elimination for how bad or good their emojis are, but people would be put up for elimination if they didn't have an emoji made for them. Now, this was scary, because two members of my team, Scent of a Snake and Jonakarkive, did not have an emoji made yet. And Dwayne announced that there would only be 5 minutes left to make these emojis before they would be eliminated. I speedran. And I created 2 emojis within this 5-minute period, saving both of my team members. And honestly, this is one of my proudest moments in the competition, where I felt like such a team player, and honestly, it's one of the most memorable moments to me. So due to no one being eliminated, Dwayne decided to change it up. Rather than someone being eliminated, someone to make a return. There's a vote put up, and Nugget made a return to the competition for the 3rd time. However, to keep numbers short, Dwayne decided to put the least active members of each team up for elimination, and Crobat was eliminated. Between this period, Judgment Day was brought up again, which I found interesting. And it also just kinda gave some season plans showing how Season 1 was simply a group chat, Season 2 created a server, Season 3 was to add more people, and Season 4 is kinda just the end to the competition. Now, the next challenge that would actually result in eliminations was a writing challenge. Which, hey, I like writing, so I found this one to be pretty fun. The basis for the story was explaining how the competition could go horribly wrong, and I think it gave a lot of freedom. However, once the stories were finished, Team Amity Society and I think it was Pufferfish Gaming tried to vote for each other purposefully to save each other, rather than vote on what they actually think was the best story. Personally, I was not a fan of this, because me and a lot of these other people put so much effort into these stories, just for them to try and rig the voting in their favor, and I was so against it. So Dwayne asked the people what outcome would make everyone happy, and explained how he can't satisfy everyone. So he decided that it would be best just for him to decide what the result should be. Shortly after, Dwayne posted the results of the stories, which if you want you can pause through and read through them, but I'm just a little too lazy. But Sayasuke and I tied for first with a 10 out of 10. So because everyone put time into the stories, I do want to take the time to read them, just like I did with the previous season stories. So I'll start with BetaDipsyGipsy stories. Hopefully I said that right. Another challenge of playing FNAF fan games started. This time, people get to play the new FNAF fan games such as Mary's Arcade, Unnamed Errors, and so on. At one time, Dwayne joined the VC where the Swivelhanded bashers were streaming BD Nightmare mode. Suddenly, Dwayne's camera accidentally turned on for 1 second. Someone was quick to take a screenshot of it, and this is what they sent. Dwayne then announced the technical difficulties and said that he was using the wrong camera. Everyone won the challenge at the end, and no one got eliminated. We get to see Dwayne's true face. Okay, moving on to Closet Story. Behold, my masterpiece. In a challenge, the teams were set up for a game of Minecraft Hunger Games until the Teletubby Nation attacked. The Teletubbies were raiding the challenge server, and Dwayne couldn't bring a stop to it. Until they challenged the teams into a dance-off. If the teams won, they'll leave. If they won, however, game's gonna be over. The Swivelhanded Bashers fell first. Next was Team E, then Pufferfish Gaming, then Lounge, and finally Amity Society. They all fell from the Teletubbies' ultimate dance moves. But then Dwayne Johnson stepped up, the final enemy for the Teletubbies to face. The Rock posted a fish, and all the Teletubbies left the server. They're afraid of fish. The years end this. Something like that. Interesting. On to Dayju's story. Everyone was having a good time in competitors' chat, with there being no challenge for the day. A little message was sent to Dwayne in DMs, a fake natural scam. He knew it was fake, but he accidentally clicked on the link, letting his account getting taken over. The hacker only wanted Dwayne so they had control over the competition. This hacker was doing extremely difficult challenges, doing all sorts of unfair twists, such as saying how you weren't supposed to do a challenge, and are now up for elimination and swapping team members without warning or voting. The real Dwayne never came back, and the competition was doomed. This is the best I can come up with. Not good at stories, sorry. Hey, you are good. It's something at least. On a PoloSwagger story? There was once a little kid called Dwayne. He had one big dream, to meet Big Chungus. One day, Dwayne was sent to the internet, which held a lot of memes, one of them being Big Chungus. Excited, he decided to tell Big Chungus he was a big fan, but then everything changed. Looked like Big Chungus was the imposter. Dwayne tried to run, but there was an exit. Big Chungus.exe was trying to kill him, but then he woke up and realized it was just a nightmare. That was so much Big Chungus, Jesus. On to Sush's story, the Dwayne building incident. It was a usual Monday afternoon, 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, former WWE wrestler and actor, was preparing himself to send out the message for the challenge for today. He prepared himself as he went to type the message onto his keyboard. Once he finished typing out the challenge notes, he pressed enter and waited his contestant's response. The contestants with the challenge pin role in the Discord server received the message. The next challenge is to find the exact location of the building appended to this message using any method by 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time this Friday. Good luck to all of you. The building appended to the message was an office building. On the sign in front of it was a sign labeled Dwayne Building. Immediately, the contestants were confused. What did Dwayne mean by find the exact location? The contestants had no clue where to start in order to find the country the building was in, let alone the exact town or location. One of the contestants, with the username Lil Parrot, was immediately unhappy with the challenge. He sent his complaint to the general channel. How the fuck are we supposed to find this building? We know literally nothing about it. Dwayne was quick to respond. The clues to the building's location may be right in plain sight. Sayasuke, the leader of the team Pufferfish Gaming, noticed something odd about the challenge message. He said in his team chat, Dwayne never specified any time zones until this challenge. Maybe it's a clue toward where the building is. Soon enough, the previous several hundreds of possibilities of where Dwayne building could be was narrowed down to a mere 7 states. One of the other teams, the Amity Society, noticed that the building looked nearly identical to the Microsoft Binbo's building in Japan. In fact, the image of Dwayne building seemed to be perfect lining up with the original image. Almost too perfectly, as if Dwayne building was just a cheap Photoshop of the Microsoft Binbo's building. Amity Society pointed this out, and everyone was pissed. Soon enough, the entire server was rioting against Dwayne Johnson. The server hasn't been this mad at Dwayne since the team shufflings. The entire competition was slowed down to a mere one person, that being a user named Scent of a Snake. He wins the season by default without even realizing it. This event was forever known as the Dwayne building incident. What's funny about this is that Scent of a Snake literally never did anything, and I know this because he was on my team. You had to paint him at least 2 times before he would respond. It was something. Moving on to Ketsuk's story. Everything was going on well on the Dwayne Johnson competition. People were doing the challenges and having fun, just like it was supposed to be. In fact, with the previous inactive people being voted out, only the most active ones currently remain, so the competition is more live than ever. However, it's no surprise that darkness awaits around the corner of every golden age, and it soon came. Frogger and Eeveeon, 2 of the competitors, both team leaders, formed an alliance. Both of them were very good friends since the ancient Ultra Custom Night era. It was no surprise they would be allies eventually. At the beginning, it was something normal. Both would talk about the competition in general, and discuss challenges and strategies in a friendly way. Often they would even ping each other to warn about a voting or challenge happening, despite being on the same team. But if you know Eeveeon for a little bit, you already know how things are going to turn out. In the end, everything was planned, every single thing, and it wasn't planned by Eeveeon alone, but by all Team E members. One day, when Frogger came to warn Eeveeon about a voting happening, Eeveeon ended up shooting Frogger while he wasn't looking, killing him for good, and eliminating Lounge from the competition, making only 4 teams left: Amity Society, Swivelhand Ambassadors, and Pufferfish Gaming. Lounge is a very powerful team due to Frogger's insane skills at gaming. Team E congratulated Eeveeon and moved on for the next plan. In the meantime, however, while no one was looking, Little Yoshi appeared and shot Eeveeon, killing him as well. For those who are unaware, Little Yoshi is a very mysterious figure. Allow me to explain. Little Yoshi is the truest form of Yoshi. He is actually the one with the power to bend time and space, but he made something think he did it instead. His origin is unknown, and so are the reasons of why he shot Eeveeon, but alas, that wasn't the weirdest thing that happened today. Sorry I was going to finish the rest, but blah blah blah, it's all good. At least you put something there, and that's what matters. Moving on to Jonak's story, and this is where the stories start to get really long. Jonakarkive looked at the latest challenge for today. It was a music challenge. He knew it could carry his team and make some awesome music. However, he thought to himself, is this worth trying to impress only Frogger? He still is mad at me for my usage of alts, and I can't stop thinking about it. So he went to talk to Closet instead. Do you have any talents in music? Closet answered, I don't know, you're writing the story. So he then asked Karma, how's it going, Karma? We never really chatted that much. Karma replied with just the emoji pumpkin and barked. Jonak was having trouble in getting help with his team. He went to Madeline, who read the message but said nothing. Then Nito, who was playing Trollface Fun Place, reopened. Jonak told him to turn it off, as it was a terrible game, and talk with your team about how he can thrive in the music challenge. Finally, he messaged Snake about the music challenge. Sen said, what challenge? I didn't realize I was in the challenge. Jonak had no hope, and he looked at Team E, having all the fun with PunMaster carrying the team and making awesome music. He asked Ketsuk to let him back in, but Ketsuk rejected the offer, saying they already had an awesome team member, Nugget. So Jonak went to Dwayne Johnson. Please move me to Team E. I can't handle Lounge anymore. Dwayne kindly responded, of course, Jonak, you were my favorite member of the competition. He said, isn't that a bit biased? I thought it was Gumball. Dwayne replied, used to be Darth, but he was eliminated sadly. Jonak said, you sure like black and white characters. Dwayne Johnson replied, first of all, it's my favorite color. Second of all, I am not racist. Jonak came back into the server and realized he wasn't in Lounge anymore. He wasn't Team E either. He was in the spectator scene. Charcy was in the corner playing his guitar and listening to the Beatles. Jason and Crobat were playing Super Smash Bros. Cannabis Fan had a wall filled with Yendo Gaming and hearts. Performer and Yellowman were watching Iron Man 2. Sky and Cinder were drawing a giant painting that would probably cost over $1,000. And Future is watching the hit TV show called Getting Real with Me. Jonak walked over to Vi. Vi was quiet, but eventually talked. Hey Jonak, I see you have joined the spectator team. You know I had the smallest name in the server. Vi said, cool. Hey, I really like your music. Do you think you could help in the challenge? Jonak said, I guess so. What do you have in mind? Vi said. Jonak called over Yellowman. This is my good friend Yellowman. He's a great person in general and the only person I trust to tell who my alts are. Except now that everyone knows, I guess it's no use to keep them here. Yellowman in a super cool triangular face said, Jonak, I know a secret tunnel to get back into the competition, he said. Wait, what? Why didn't you use it? Jonak said. Because you have to do a challenge, which I never completed. I need your help. Yellowman brought Jonak into a secret tunnel, only to be blocked by Morale. You shall not pass, Morale bellowed. Why, said Jonak and Yellowman at the same time. What best buds? I am the first spectator. I have seen everything. Jonak had an idea. When he visited Latvia, he learned how to speak Latvian. It might work, so Jonak spoke Latvian to Morale. How do you know how to speak seal, he said. You shall pass, Morale turned into a small seal and made a seal screech, alerting the other spectators. Cinder pushed everyone out of the way to get through, while Crobat turned into his bat form and flew past. Future rode his way to the exit, blocking the exit and leaving the other spectators behind. However, Performa had a plan. He transformed into Doctor Strange to cast her spell. Charsley started playing the guitar faster, and Doctor Strange ended up summoning Robotnik from the grave. Robotnik and his round body rammed into Future, letting Vi, Charsley, Performa, and Darth to swiftly enter before Dwayne realized. Jonak and Yellowman were far ahead, seeing a light at the end of the tunnel. However, the light began to turn red, and they all fell into a deep red pit. A booming voice opened. Jonak recognized it as Dwayne's. Welcome to the danger zone. Suddenly, a tall bearded gumball machine limped out into the light where Jonak and Yellowman could see him. Hello, friends. I've been here for 2 months now, said Gumball. All because I rickrolled Dwayne, and I won't apologize. Jonak was confused. Why, if you want to get out of here, just say you're sorry. We want to get out of here too. The spectators came crashing through the danger zone. Sky was first. Hello, Dwayne. I propose you fight me in an art challenge. If I win, we are freed from the danger zone. If you win, we will stay here, said Sky. Dwayne accepted the challenge and calmly explained that he was the best artist in the world and could never be beaten. Darth yelled, "How come you did so terrible in the Garctic phone challenge?" Betrayed, Dwayne started crying. Jonak pointed to the exit that Dwayne was once blocking. It was open. The spectators rushed outside except for Sky, who was too focused on creating a masterpiece work of art. As Jonak entered outside with the other spectators, he realized he was in a giant purple room. Sky asked, "Am I just purple to you?" Jonak was confused, but then he realized as Amity Blight asked for names and occupations that they were in the Amity Society base. Charlie was sitting on a throne, playing a game that she made herself in the last challenge called Ultra Custom Night 2. Yendo was asleep on a giant purple bed, with a skeleton-like enterish body tangled around. A flying, annoying bird was fluttered around with his terrible Minecraft opinions, while Dejuf was trying to catch it and squeeze it with his friends to shut it up. Fredley was finishing in a big purple pond. Coming out of the pond was Charlotte Joke, who could not stop telling jokes, and Hibbit, who was playing Uno with his best friend, Impostertronic. Dwayne then realized that the team was too big, so he would have to switch people into different teams. He paid everyone in polls what team to choose, not realizing that the spectators were in the competition. Jonak quickly grabbed his two alts, Epic Gamer Dokofan and D3 Alls, to enter different teams so he could spy on them. Jonak was put in the Swivelhand Bashers, D3 Alls was put in Team E, and Epic Gamer Dokofan was put in Pufferfish Gaming. Jonak tried to control all the alts at once, but was too cocky when he accidentally said, as D3 Alls, "I've missed this," to which Team E realized that there was a spy on the loose. Eeveeon put a gun to D3 Alls' head. "Are you Jonak?" he said menacingly. "I think it is," said Jack. "Welcome back," said Pizza Lover, excited to see Jonak return. D3 Alls confessed, "Yes, I am Jonak, and I miss you so much. I want to rejoin your team because launch is inactive. I want to win again. I want to feel what you fail. I'm sorry that I ruined your plans of getting Sayasuke out, and I want your forgiveness." PunMaster and Penrose looked at D3 Alls in confusion, then realization. "Call Raptor over here," said Penrose. "Jonak's back." Meanwhile, the real Jonak was being interrogated in the Silver-Handed Bashers team chat. PugMaster had a giant strobe light blinding Jonak's eyes. "Where's Gumball?" yelled PugMaster. "I don't know. He exited the danger zone and Dwayne put him in a different team. I can't tell what team it is." BetaDipsyGipsy, member of the Teletubby Nation, had an idea. "If Jonak is on our team now, we can use him to spy on the different teams with his alts. Wouldn't that be cheating?" said Gangsta Mario. "Not if Dwayne doesn't know," said Beta. "Here, grab that mind-wiping machine that you carry around with you. We need to wipe Dwayne's memories," said Beta. "I'm sorry I left it in one of my animations. Let me go check," said Hero. "I love your animations, Hero, by the way," said Jonak. Meanwhile, in Pufferfish Gaming, a young Epic Gamer Dokofan was chilling on a hammock, on the edge of the ocean surrounded by beautiful little pufferfish friends. Sayasuke and Jigga were playing a Friday Night Funkin' Aooni mod together that Jigga himself created, while Robin Spook was watching on the edge of her seat. Sush was eating salad, and Tingle Mingled was hanging on top of the bright yellow ceiling, curling around. "Hey everyone," said Epic Gamer Dokofan, with no attention gained. "Thanks for letting me here. The other teams were just interrogating me and not welcoming me properly. I love this," he said. "We treat all our members with respect around here, no matter who they are. Hope you have a nice day," said Sayasuke. Back to Jonak, who was watching in horror as Hero found the mind-wiping machine that they were going to use on Dwayne. Jonak tried to stop them, but he was tied up, mouth included. "Sorry this had to happen to you, Jonak," said PoloSwagger, "but we need you on the team as a spy, and you ain't leaving this place like you did at Ultra Discord Night." Jonak struggled to move, and the silver-handed bashers began to start the mind-wiping laser towards Dwayne. D3 Alls was talking about their next move on the challenge in Team E, finally accepting that he should always listen to what the team had to say, instead of convincing everyone else against the team. Then, Dwayne Johnson's mind was wiped, and the mind-wiping machine bounced off his sunglasses to every member, slowly wiping their minds. People were questioning how they got into the server, and many people left, including Santa the Snake, who finally gained consciousness. The only person who hadn't had a memory wipe was an annoying little bird flying around the remains of Amity Society, talked about his opinions on Minecraft mobs. The end. That was a rather long story, but definitely an interesting one, and I really like how he included the use of his alts. It added a new layer to it, and it's nice to see the perspective of every team. Up next, we have Raptor submission, simply called the Rock Trials. Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson went on his way to create his own tournament to see how certain individuals behave when in a situation of life or death. The participants must complete challenges to assure safety for themselves. Act 1. The Trials. The teams are created, each team with members of all sorts of skills, musicians, game developers, graphic designers, artists, and etc. The first challenges is upon them. Come up with team banners and icons. Everything went well until the challenges ended. A member of the team lounge was going to get eliminated. That's when the participants realized that they're on a game of life and death. Some kept note of that for future actions. A member of lounge's team has died, only one of the many to come deaths. The team resides in their rooms until further notices. Act 2. Bloodthirst. Member of Team E, called Eeveeon, decided to bring matters onto his own hands by sneaking in the Amity Society team's room and eliminating one of their participants in cold blood. The other team heard the gunshot, and some took the same opportunity. It was a massacre. Dwayne realizes what has happened and is able to control the situation. By then 10 members have died from different teams. He banished said act as they're only meant to die on the trials. Act 3. The Cast. Each team has lost 2 members from the slaughter yesterday. The teams are Team Lounge, currently consisting of Frogger, their leader, Needle, Cinder, Snake, Karma, Madeline, Closet, and Heckos. Team E, currently consisting of Eeveeon, their leader, Ketsuk, Jack, Penrose, Raptor, Pizza, Pun, and Jonah. Team Pufferfish Gaming, currently consisting of Sayasuke, their leader, Robin, Jigga, Tingle, Sush, Crobat, Charsity, and Performa. Team Amity Society, currently consisting of Charlie, their leader, Parrot, Hibbits, Dejuf, Joe, Bradley, Yendo, and Jason. And finally, Team Swivelhand Bashers, currently consisting of Gumball, their leader, BetaDipsy, Hero, Gamestomorrow, Pug, Polo, Future, and Cannabis. Act 4. Town of Salem. Tomorrow is another day. They find themselves upon the next challenge, a game of mystery and murder. The murderer's goal is to kill the other participants. The rest? Find who are the murderers and execute them. Jason, one of the murderers, makes his first victim. Cannabis, whose murderer teammate has also claimed a victim. Heckles. The supervisors discuss who may be the murderers. Ketsuk blames Needle for the murder of Cannabis. Everyone agrees and execute Nuke. He was not the murderer. End of Scene 1. Once again, from the perspective of our antagonist Jason, he has ended someone else's life. Jonah, his teammate, hasn't killed anyone. Day rises upon the survivors and they discuss. Everyone agrees that although Ketsuk killed an innocent, he was not the murderer. After all, he wouldn't kill Jonah because he is his teammate. Unfortunately for Jason, he committed a mistake by looking stressed out. Charlie notices and calls him out. He's then executed. Jason was one of the murderers. There's still one murderer among us. End of Scene 2. Rise and shine. The participants notice Cinder hasn't left his house, which means he has been murdered last night. They discuss on who it may be, but no lead so far. They go to sleep. A scream was heard last night. It was Polo's. He has become a victim of the murderer. They sit and discuss. Hibbits mentioned seeing a robot figure stalking at night. Everyone looks at Future. He failed to give the right answer and was then demolished. He was a murderer. Game end. Act 5. The Hunt. The remaining ones alive wake up in some sort of island. Their goal? Escape it. Little do they know, there is going to be a bigger threat other than the teams. We see from the perspective of Pufferfish Gaming. They are just discussing what they are going to do to escape when suddenly, Performa gets shot in the head. They all run in panic. Footsteps and gunshots are heard. Meanwhile, from the perspective of Amity Society, they hear the gunshots in the distance and go in the exact opposite direction of it. Night falls upon the participants. Tonight, Amity Society is going to learn the hard way that the gunshots aren't the only scary thing about this island. Charlie wakes up from the screams of Birdly. She looks over and sees a dark figure with black eyes, attacking Birdly as if he was some sort of animal. They all run blind into the darkness of this night. Meanwhile, Team E, Lounge and Swivelhand Bashers sleep in safe places. End of Scene 1. The survivors of Amity Society are able to meet up. However, they run upon what attacked Pufferfish Gaming yesterday, a squad of highly trained military men of some sort. They are then chased by the 5 dangerous men. Raptor watches from a distance and goes back to warn his team about it. Meanwhile, Lunch has found a facility under the island. They trigger a security system, and Snake is killed because of it. They were able to deactivate the security systems after, and found a portal. It was a perfect way to escape. All they needed was to input coordinates and go. Lunch has survived the challenge. On to Team E. They are doing the unthinkable, plotting a way to kill those soldiers. After long planning, they wait for the perfect opportunity to strike. Night falls upon the teams. Pun wakes up from the sound of a stick breaking. He sees the dark figure that attacked Amity Society last night. He yells and the team wakes up. Pizza gets ripped to shreds by the thing, and the rest run to a safer place. End of scene 2. It is day. Pufferfish Gaming members have stopped to regain their breath until something falls next to them. It was a grenade. Charcity was exploded by it. The rest are just wounded. While that's happening, Team E starts executing their plan to kill the enemies. Raptor is able to ambush and kill their medic silently. Meanwhile, Penrose distracted the spotter and sniper. However, they got too cocky and gets terminated. Eeveeon shoots down the spotter. The remaining 3 men blindly shoot in the dense forest, in hopes of killing one of them. Raptor takes the opportunity and slashes the sniper's face before he is able to get a clear shot on him. Jack threw the grenade he got from the medic's body and is able to kill the striker. The captain falls down on the ground and is now surrounded by Team E. Eeveeon looks him in the eyes and says, "Don't mess with Team E," then proceeds to shoot him. End of scene 3. With their newfound weapons, Team E is now the main threat aside from the dark figure at night. Silver-handed Vashes were able to fix a boat and escape with it. Silver-handed Vashes have survived the challenge. Pufferfish were able to find and fix a plane. They take off with it. However, Ketsuk is able to shoot Krillback while the plane is in midair. Pufferfish Gaming has survived the challenge. Amity Society has shot a flare up in the sky in hopes that they get help. However, the exact opposite happened. Team E arrived, guns blazing. They are hunted down by them. Pun is able to kill Joke, but the rest of the team fall into a hole. Had a weird light coming from it. There's another portal. The 2 teams fall on it. Team E and Team Amity Society have survived the challenge. The final act, the maze. Another day, another challenge. The remaining survivors are no longer split in teams. They're all now on their own. They're all sent to their next objective, find the exit of a huge maze. However, little do they know that dangers lurk inside each turn and dark area. Gumball is looking for clues on how to find the way out of. Frogger is using the old brute force method as well as Eeveeon and Charlie. Sayasuke is looking for ways to cheese. A scream is heard from one of the dark corners of the maze. It was Robin. They got killed off screen by something in a dark area of the maze. Meanwhile, Deju tries to fly over the entire maze. He then gets caught some kind of big flying creature. Flying isn't an option. End of scene 1. Hibits and Yendo meet each other. However, they make a truce. They hear heavy footsteps coming from the next turn. Yendo freezes in fear. Little did he know that would save him. The creature is blind. They heard Hibits running in fear and quickly outrun him. While that happened, on the opposite side of the maze, Closet falls on a trap. Ketsuk gets dragged by something inside the living walls of the maze. Jack is burned after triggering a trap and runs into Hero. Both burned to death. 17 participants remain. End of scene 2. After countless turns and very luckily avoiding traps, Gumball is the first to make it out of the maze alive. Gumball survived the challenge. Raptor comes face to face with Eeveeon. He held his gun up to him and just said, "I'm sorry." Raptor is able to wound Eeveeon with the claws. However, it is of no use. He has been mortally wounded. Eeveeon cries as he watches his old friend bleed slowly in front of him. It had to be done, he thought to himself. Near the center of the maze, another battle is about to happen. Pun versus Pug. The battle is very close, both throwing out attacks and being able to dodge as well, until one of them unknowingly stepped on a landmine and blew them both up. End of scene 3. Frogger found the exit. He runs to it, but is grabbed by the foot of someone. It was Gangsta Mario. Madeline, however, saves him. Frogger keeps running and looks behind to see them both getting vanquished by a giant creature that was stalking him. He runs through the exit. Frogger survived the challenge. Eeveeon finds Jigga, Tingle, and Sush in the maze and is able to terminate all of them. Sadly, he got cornered by Undead. He looks at his gun and knows what to do. Sayasuke hears a shot in the distance. They run into Parrot. Both throw hands, but Sayasuke is able to push Parrot into spikes on a wall. Charlie, BetaDipsy, and Yendo run into each other. Both Charlie and Yendo work together and are able to end BetaDipsy's life. End of scene 4. The 3 remaining participants in the maze meet up. Sayasuke knows he has no chance in a 2v1. He, however, uses his brain. Sayasuke runs. Both Charlie and Yendo run after him. Yendo encounters another creature. He stays still since that saved him last time. It didn't work. That one wasn't blind. Now it's just a 1v1. Sayasuke finds a sharp bone and uses it as a weapon. Charlie avoids the attack, and best she could. However, it wasn't enough. She was stabbed in the guts with the little bit of strength she had left. She was able to disarm Sayasuke and use his own weapons against him. Charlie slowly bleeds out, watching as Sayasuke drops dead in front of her. Meanwhile, Karma gets killed by the blind beast. Act something. Dwayne presents both survivors, Frogger and Gumball, their final challenge. Kill the other participant. It is raining, and they're on a really high place with a giant pit surrounding them. Frogger is the first to attack. Gumball dodges and counterattacks. Frogger is stunned but regains his guard and delivers a strong blow on Gumball. He falls down and is subdued by Frogger. He is, however, able to take a rock and hit Frogger in the face with it. Frogger lets his guard down because of that. Gumball pushes him to the ground and is about to strangle him when suddenly he stops. He doesn't want to kill Frogger. Frogger, however, doesn't accept it and jumps into the pit. Gumball watches helplessly. He is the winner, but at what cost? Dwayne approaches him. End of scene. Something. Dwayne announces, "You have one last challenge. Me. The challenge. You must defeat me. Then you will be victorious." Gumball is shocked but understands. The storm gets even stronger. This time there's even thunder and lightning strikes. Gumball tackles Dwayne to no avail. He's stronger than him. With a single punch, the rock sends Gumball flying. He gets up and recovers his guard, managing to dodge Dwayne's charge. It's Gumball's turn to attack. However, once again, Dwayne didn't even flinch from his punch. He then grabs Gumball and holds him up by the neck. Gumball lost all his hopes, when suddenly he is hit by a lightning strike, which electrocutes Dwayne. Both fall on the ground. It is over. Or is it? An entire night passes. It is now morning. The birds are chirping, and both are still laying on the ground. On the corner, a green arm raises from the pit. The end. Let's go. I survived the pitfall. I'm just cool like that, I guess. Alright, next we have Pun's story, which is called The Challenge. It was a normal day in the Dwayne comp. Everyone was just chilling, with no challenges for a while, when suddenly Dwayne announces a challenge for the spookiest month of the year. The challenge was that the team leaders had to play Among Us, a very scary game, with Dwayne while in VC. Everyone's sent to do their tasks like normal Among Us, when Gumball left VC for some unknown reason. Later, Sayasuke was going to do his task in Reactor when he found Gumball's body, with his head broken and all the Gumballs stolen. Very evil. Everyone was confused on how someone died so quickly, but Dwayne calmed everyone down, saying that they should skip until they find evidence on who the imposter is. Everyone skipped, leaving 5 remaining survivors. Frogger told everyone that he had medbay scan to show that he isn't the imposter. But right when he was about to do the task, the lights went out, causing everyone to go into panic. Once the lights were back on, everyone noticed Sayasuke was missing from the group and the VC. Frogger went back to medbay to do his task when he saw Sayasuke's dead body right on the scanner. Everyone wasn't shocked that they left behind one of their friends, but Eeveeon broke the silence by saying that he thinks Dwayne is the imposter, since Gumball was the first to die, and that Dwayne would have a reason to target Gumball first because of the Rickroll. Right when everyone was agreeing, Dwayne told everyone that Eeveeon literally has a gun, which he has 24/7. Everyone agreed and voted out Eeveeon, with only 3 survivors left. Right as Eeveeon was voted out, he left the VC, and everyone assumed he just rage quit and continued on like normal. Right when Frogger was finally about to do medscan, the alarms went off. Oxygen was depleting fast, and if they didn't fix it in time, the imposter would win. Right as they were about to go fix the oxygen, Charlie showed herself and revealed that she was the imposter all along. She knew that killing Gumball first would make Dwayne sus. She knew that Dwayne would try to convince everyone to vote for Eeveeon because gun, etc. What she didn't know was that while he was saying that, Frogger and Dwayne fixed out too, and ejected Charlie. Right after, Charlie left VC, and Dwayne announced that Team Lounge won the challenge, and has gained immunity. While Frogger and the others were celebrating, Dwayne announced the next challenge. He told everyone to go into VC, and when they did, he turned on his camera to show the other team leaders tied over lava. Dwayne announced that the next challenge would be to vote out on which one would get to live. Actually, that's a pretty cool twist ending, though. I like that. It kind of reminds me of mine ending, which we'll get to that soon-ish. Actually, probably not soon, because these take a while to read. Alright, next we are on the Jack story, which is called Halloween Night. It was a windy Halloween night. Tap, tap, tap. The footsteps tap and tap for a while. Eeveeon Gamer and I walk closer and closer towards that house. Down the street, we meet several familiar faces. Pun, with his dumb, silly face and hat, was dressed as a cat. PunMaster wearing a Among Us imposter costume, and Tingles and Offburn entered. Ominous cricket noises can be heard. The wind howls softly. We walk further and further down the road. We've arrived. We go step by step up the stairway and reach my friend towards the doorbell. It gets deadly silent. Tap, tap, tap. As the footsteps start, it soon ends. Hello, Eeveeon and Jack. Come in. It was Gumball. Every other team leader was already there. Frogger, Sayasuke, Charlie. As we enter, we notice we have our designated beanbags. We wait a while. Tick-tock. The click ticks and talks as we wait for everyone to arrive. One by one, they arrive. First it's Pun, then it's Jonak, then it's Penrose. I walk towards the corner and sit there for a while, thinking of what might be next for our competition. What if something fails? What if someone gets hurt? I think over and over, constantly question the same things. I overthink it, and after a few minutes, I close my eyes to process all of this. It felt as if something changed. As I woke up in the very same house, which had several rooms, I saw several corpses of other people. They were gruesomely murdered, and some were even dismembered. Blood poured from corpse to corpse. Everywhere I turned, there was blood. I walk around the area. What happened here? I slowly walk around. Even more corpses showed up. I hear my footsteps tread along the floor. I search through the house, checking room to room, only resulting in more corpses. I stop for a bit. I realize as I slow down, I hear footsteps. I look down at my shoes. I wasn't moving. Where were the footsteps coming from? I slowly turn around behind myself. My body fills up with adrenaline and fear as I turn inch by inch. I jump back from the shock. It was Dwayne, covered in blood, looking insane and holding several weapons. I asked, panicking. "What are you doing?" he said, in a tone that scares me, that I formed goosebumps. "Oh, you don't need to know that." I look around. It's a face towards him. "Why not?" He glares at me. "You'll see." He slowly walks towards me. I walk backwards, shocked as he gets closer and closer. I get cornered, and right as he pushes a knife, he holds his hand in me. I scream. "Jack, why are you screaming?" It was Eeveeon. It was all a dream. It felt so real, though. I looked around. It was the same house, but everyone was here now. How long was I out? "Jack, everyone's here now. Let's go to the middle now." We got towards the center and sat down. I like the idea of Dwayne controlling the competition, deciding who dies and who lives. I don't know. I just think it's an interesting concept.
Hey, it's me. I'm the Gumball machine. Yeah, no, I'm that guy. So, here we are. I came over to read my story because, I wanted to. Frogger didn't ask me. I just kind of came in. But it's alright. Let's get down to business. I don't have a super long time. So, I titled my story like the most complex title ever. I put it in the source about 12 times, and it came out with, here we go. Terminating condolences to Lung Shane, which I think, if my big English brain can translate it back, probably means dying wishes to the past or something like that. But let's actually get to reading. Another day began. I knew they were numbered at this point. The trials weren't just a hobby, they were a lifestyle. Every waking moment for the entire challenge was spent in a white, brightly lit room. Complimentary food was provided every few hours, and every basic survival need was taken care of. The commodities in my room were a light switch, a mildly padded bed, an intercom where Dwayne would announce parts of the trials, a tube to submit any physical submissions, and a screen I used to interact with others. At the beginning, there were many of us. We were all grouped together under the subname of teams. While each team had once 10 members, we were eventually plucked away to an average of 2. Team Amity had fallen the day before, but I couldn't bring myself to vote anyone out. That's how it's been ever since every quiet member left. I guess I'm just too emotional for this. That was sure to be my downfall. To win these trials, you not only had to be good at the competitions, but put strategy first. I couldn't bring myself to watch other people I cared about get sent out the door, no matter how much it would aid me strategically. Maybe, if I had put the game first, I wouldn't be on death row, as I now stood. It was unknown what happened to the people as they were eliminated, but from what I can assume, it couldn't have been good. As trapping as the trials were, they kept me happy, healthy. I required nothing else to survive. Team E stood with the most people, being 3. They had tremendous voting power, and were usually under the careful strategic mind of Eeveeon. Pufferfish Gaming had Jiga and Sayasuke left, 2 skilled at social understanding and artistic ability. The only remainder of the lounge was Frogger. Hey, I know that guy. I'm in that guy's video right now. Hey! But he had more of a competitive advantage than anyone. He could not only beat anyone at 1/2 the challenges without trying, but also psychologically decimate those he saw unfit. Then finally stood the Bashers, my team. All that remained was PunMaster and I, but the odds were that Pug would be sent out as a result of the day's end. Although I cared about everyone dearly, I knew it was in their best interest to vote me out sooner rather than later. It was almost freeing, in a way, the idea that I might be able to return to the real world, leave this all behind. As luck would have it, my final team member left me that evening. With great sorrow, I listened to Dwayne's final goodbyes to Pug as his name vanished from the overall roster. I'd done it. I lived from the start of my team's formation with Frogger and Eeveeon to its final day. Almost poetic, is it not? With that, I settled into slumber, knowing the next day could very well be my last. I looked to the challenge of the day ringing on the intercom placed within my room. Today you must make a photo collage of all the best memories you have from the rock trials. Submissions must be delivered by 5 p.m. today, and voting, based on that, will occur an hour later. It was intriguing. A photo challenge intertwined with emotional understanding of all that has occurred. Surely I wouldn't perform terribly. I booted up Photoshop and began brainstorming. About an hour later it was complete. I had various images associated with challenges in the past. The Hunger Games, team banners, intro, Nugget and Ket's return, and the group photo I'd created all those weeks ago. I thought the image was formatted well, and I had introduced a few colorful outlines around the images. As was pretty common, I was the first to submit the challenge. I got a few compliments and waited for a few other submissions to compare to. Jigga was next. Their images were heartwarming, but I felt my formatting was better. Nard had done a good one as well, but it did not contain as many images as mine. At that point, I was still on top. Eventually, Eeveeon submitted theirs, but I felt mine was a bit better due to the more memorable images. One might call it ego, but I was pretty sure I had this challenge in the bag. That was until 4:47 p.m., 13 minutes before the challenge was due. Frogger submitted his entry. I should have expected it. He had twice as many photos as I did, and it was all formatted better than mine. He was so far beyond me, and there was nothing I could do. I had complimented everyone on their submissions, as is custom, since every single image was well made. I knew it was nearing the end. I wish I had done better, but I couldn't have. Everyone was just better than I was. I knew in an hour voting would begin, and Frogger would select 2 people we had to choose between. I was sure I would be one of them. I sat in my empty room, knowing my end was near. What should I have changed? Was I the best I could have been? A perpetual cavalcade of inquiries I would never discover the outcome to. In the middle of my spiral into madness, the intercom shouted with life once again. Submissions are now closed. Thank you to all that have participated. Frogger has selected Gumball, Swivelhands, and Jigga over 9,000 for today's vote options. Voting pins will be placed with your food coming shortly, and must be placed in your submission tube by 1 hour from now. Best of luck! I knew saving myself was futile. Not even I could advocate for Jigga's demise. Some might say I could sway voting in the past. It was a conflict that came to a head earlier on. However, now, nothing remained. My noble team was gone, and many of my closest allies had fallen. Team E was split. Eeveeon and Pun both voted for me, while Raptor voted for Jigga. As to be expected, Jigga and his teammate both bounced to his side, and Frogger remained undecided. I couldn't alter the numbers, and honestly, I didn't want to. Seeing myself leave for Jigga to keep fighting was worth it. Whatever he could have done would have been so much more passionate than anything I could have. Although everyone's votes were decided, we still had to wait before 6. We all knew it was coming. I said my condolences to everyone in the trials, as they meant more to my well-being than I could ever understand. I wished them all success, as I knew the journey ahead was so much harder than anything I could have attempted. As the clock struck 6, the intercom went off, one final time. Gumball, your strive and dedication for those in this challenge has carried you far. You've devoted yourself fully, and I can only thank you. Your consistent cheerfulness and positive mindset have made everybody associated with you a more happy person. We will miss you. As soon as that announcement ceased, a door that had been merged with the wall this whole time opened up before me. A bright light gleamed behind a man standing in the doorway. Sorry, you'll be coming with me for a while. His voice was concentrated and deep. Where am I going? I cannot inform you directly, but as far as you're concerned, it is simply the beyond. I stood pondering for a moment as I stepped towards the corridor. There had to have been hundreds of doors just like mine. The figure escorted me to the end of the hall, where Dwayne himself stood, in person. Number 496, we've been anxious for your arrival. With your disconnection from the rock trials, you can now move on to the second phase. Boom! Mind blown. Very cool. That was my story. It was pretty alright. That was my submission into Frogger's video. Hopefully, you'll be hearing more about me later. But, as far as my connections directly, I'll see you.
Next we have Sayasuke's story, which is the longest one in terms of pages, so I will start. It's called Jailhouse Challenge Part 2, Rerun. Chapter 0. There are rumors about a mansion in the outskirts of a Japanese city, a mystery that has been interesting people from all ages and alike. And every day, more and more people, gathered in groups, went to the place, only to never be seen again. As the rumors go, a family lived in the place. They were a happy, simple family. Something went wrong one day, and now it is believed that monsters exist in that place. I've always been a fan of that story. It also created a franchise I hold deeply into my heart. Thought it would be funny, so I submitted the idea anonymously to the organizer of this competition, Dwayne Johnson himself, and I regret it deeply. Chapter 1. Revive. Charlie was awakened by the sound of her bracelet vibrating. She was confused at first, as it was pretty early in the morning for any reunion, but as a leader of Amity Society, it was her job to mark her presence in this important occasion regardless of time. She quietly made her out of the bed, adjusting her long hair back into the delicate and organized ponytail she's always seen with, taking the bowl from the small drawer next to her bed, placing it at her head. As she leaves her team's dormitory, she's surprisingly greeted by Frogger. He was seemingly waiting for her at the door. "Oh, you got it too," the frog said. "I thought my bracelet had a defect." "Dwayne never called us at a time like this. Must mean it's extremely important, right?" Charlie questioned, and she was right. It was way too early for something like this to happen. Challenges, reunions, and others always happen in the afternoon, so it's bizarre that a reunion was happening in the morning. "Whatever the case, I don't think he'll like it if we keep him waiting for us," Frogger said. "Let's go. Last one there is a rotten egg." Frogger chuckled as he took off to the reunion room. Charlie chuckled as well, soon taking off to the reunion room as well, and once arriving, it was to say she was the last leader to arrive, except for Sayasuke, who wasn't there for justified reasons. "Take a seat, Miss Charlie," Dwayne Johnson told Charlie. He sounded rather impatient. At the center of the room, there was a rather extensive table, over 50 chairs surrounding its side, while a chair exclusive to Dwayne Johnson was at the very end of the table. Although there were so many chairs, everyone was relatively close to each other, that being the chairs closer to the end of the table. Charlie made her way to the side of Frogger, who was the closest to Dwayne as well. Directly to the seat parallel to Charlie's on the other side of the table, Eeveeon Gamer, the leader of Team E, was occupying. And jumping one spot to his side, Gumball Swivelhand, the leader of the Swivelhanded Bashers, was there. "Let's get this out of the way," Dwayne said. Without allowing any opportunity for questions, the man then clears his throat and speaks again. "Considering the fact that Sayasuke is unavailable for now, I've decided to change out the plans a bit." "Will you cancel the challenge?" Frogger asked as quickly as he could, after Dwayne finished his sentence. The frog attempted to give an explanation, but couldn't form a reasonable sentence. "Don't worry, I won't cancel it," Dwayne affirmed. "However, instead of bringing only the leaders this time, I'll choose random members from each team." "Wait, no, that wasn't what I..." Frogger once again tried to form a sentence, but such reveal is making it much more difficult for the poor frog. "You're acting weird today, Frogger," Eeveeon said. "Is there something bothering you?" "Yeah, it's about the challenge," Frogger replied. "It's too dangerous, too risky. I don't want to lose anyone like..." The frog was then interrupted by Eeveeon. "Don't tell me you believe in those rumors, man." The Yoshi seemed rather disappointed. "It's just some dumb rumors that originated from a game. How can you believe in such a thing?" As much as Charlie wanted to help, she didn't know how to help. She and Frogger knew that if they tried to explain anything, they would be called crazy. They were trying their best to avoid saying much about the incident, but it just seemed like they were going nowhere like this. The room was then covered in silence for a moment, until it was finally broken by Dwayne. "No further questions?" he asked, but no one replied. "I'll take that as a no," the man said, standing up from his chair as he headed out of the room. Gumball and Eeveeon followed afterwards, leaving only Frogger and Charlie in the room. They looked at each other, disappointed at their failure, but there really wasn't much they could do after all. Sayasuke was laying down at the medical bed, directly staring at the ceiling with only the sound in the entire room coming from the heartbeat monitor to his side. Otherwise, everything just felt so lonely to him. The guilt he's been holding in, as well, was unbearable, yet he couldn't bring himself to admit such a thing. He wasn't ready for something like that, plus only he, Charlie, and Frogger remember the incident after all. The most worrisome part, however, was the possibility of them going back in, and now without him, there's a good chance that, this time, the deaths will be permanent. His heartbeat's frequencies keep changing and changing as the boy submerged into thoughts at varied range. Sometimes he couldn't even focus on his own thoughts thanks to the beeps of the monitor. It was quite annoying. While stuck in those thoughts, he was surprised by the sudden sound of the door opening, visible by the sudden spike in the monitor, but soon enough calmed down as he realized it was just Charlie and Frogger. "Ah, sorry, did we scare you?" Frogger asked. "Don't worry, it was nothing," the boy replied. Charlie and Frogger then approached the bed. "How are you feeling today?" the girl asked. "I don't feel my lungs burning like shit, that's for sure," Sayasuke replied, chuckling. "But my legs still feel numb. I think I'll have to wait a while before walking again." "Heh." "Is there anyone you'd like to see?" Frogger asked. You seem rather lonely here, and we can't stay here for that long, you know? I don't see a reason why we couldn't, Charlie said. You know, we have things to solve, the frog replied, only receiving a right as a reply from the girl. The boy chuckled. Madeline, please. He then answered the frog's question. I'll be back in a moment then, the frogger exclaimed as he then took off to the door, leaving the medical room. Once again, silence enveloped the room outside the beeps from the monitor. Now it was only time to wait for him to return. Frogger, at the outside, soon headed back to his team's dorm, where Madeline was supposed to be. However, arriving there, he was greeted by rather bored looks of his team, and Madeline nowhere to be seen. Madeline, you there? The frog asked, yet no answer from her. Instead, another member, Jonak, was rather intrigued by Frogger's sudden interest in the girl. Her? What do you need with her? The marionette asked. Sayasuke wants to see her, so of course I gotta help my homie, Frogger innocently replied. Yet he wasn't ready for the answer that Jonak would give him. She left a while ago, the marionette answered. The wheel fell on her, so Dwayne took her for the challenge. The instant Jonak said these words, Frogger could feel his heart sunk, even if neither of the two were in any way close. The knowledge that she, and likely more people from each team, was in danger was unbelievably. Not only that, the way the marionette delivered the line so calmly and completely unaware, Frogger couldn't imagine how devastating this news would be for Nard, so instead he had an idea. Break into the place by himself and hope for the best. Chapter 2. Continue. There we are, Dwayne said, as he had finally brought everyone to the entrance gates of the jailhouse. The gates were practically the quadruple of the man in height, and astonishing size, that's for sure. It exists. Robin Spook looked through the gates, directly staring at the jailhouse from afar. I should have probably played it when Jigga recommended me. Natsuki Gaming, Hibbit said, with no actual intent of contributing to the conversation. Wait, what was the challenge again? Beta asked. He seemed rather lost in general. We're going to a spooky and haunted place, that's it, Ketsuk replied, being as direct as possible. Dwayne headed towards the gates, noticing the chains with the padlock keeping it closed, yet he swears he already broke them the first time. Regardless, Dwayne successfully succumbs to chains and the padlock with only 3 punches, allowing him to open the gates once again. Damn, Madeline speaks, as a reaction to Dwayne's raw power of breaking literal metal with his bare hands. Come now, Dwayne orders the 5, in which they do as requested. After a long walk through the garden, the group of 6 finally arrive at where they desire, as now stand right ahead of such a place, looking at it from below and admiring such a structure. Geez, bigger than I thought, Robin said, noticeably nervous. Wait, how are we supposed to finish the challenge? Beta asked, a fair question, as it wasn't explained anywhere beforehand. First person to find an alternative exit wins the game, Dwayne said. As he headed inside, the door was weirdly unlocked, which made things much easier for him. Ketsuk stepped in first, followed by Hiblets. Next was Madeline, then Beta, and finally Robin Spook, who was hesitant at first, but finally decided to submit herself into the jailhouse. Once again, they found themselves gathered in a circle around the main hall. So many things were already noticeable across this place, from the odd changes of temperature from outside to inside, from how in perfect conditions everything within the place looks, even if it is rumored to be abandoned for a long time. As they were looking around, however, slam. Their attention quickly shifts towards the direction of the sound. The front door. Who suddenly slammed itself? No, that can't be possible. Something felt wrong. Dwayne Johnson steps towards the door, attempting to turn the doorknob, resulting in nothing, as the door doesn't seem to budge, at all, as if it was stuck. The man then opted for another option, to use his strength as he began to punch the door, yet even with his strength, the door wouldn't budge, not even crack a bit. The same man who took down metal can't break a wooden door. What's going on? After slamming himself against the door multiple times, with the same results, the man finally stopped. There is definitely some supernatural force, Dwayne said, as he turned to the rest of the group. Whatever this force may be, they'll have a bad day today. Are the legends true then, Robin Spook asked, shivering from fear. I do fear they are, but no worries. As long as we stick together, we're going to find a way out. Dwayne attempted to motivate the team, yet it seems like it hardly worked out, as their tension and expressions did not change much. The man didn't seem to worry about that much, however. Frogger was checking if he had all the items needed, currently wielding only a flashlight, some lunch just in case, and a toolbox, in order to crack the shed found in the jailhouse's garden more easily. Once ready, he puts it all in a bag, carrying it on his shoulder, leaves the closet used to avoid himself from being seen, and heads towards the exit of the building. That is, during his way, he notices Jigga standing in the hallway he needs to go through in order to get the exit. Frogger really doesn't want to be caught, and knowing the little man, he'd certainly tell Sayasuke about his plan. He's terrible at keeping a secret, so Frogger needed a new plan. An idea pops in his mind. He sets the bag in a spot Jigga cannot see and heads towards the boy. Hey, Jigga, buddy. Oh, hi, Frogger. What do you need? The boy questions. What are you doing here? You seem rather lonely, the frog replies, creating another question. Yeah, I've been worrying about Nard, but Jigga turns his face down. He doesn't want me to see him. At first what seemed an emotional moment quickly shifts into what you've seen when a kid really wants something. Oh well, today's your lucky day, Frogger smiled. He asked me to tell you to visit him. Jigga could not hide how excited and touched he was. Really? I'm going there right now. The boy rushed away, with the path now having no more obstacles. Frogger grabs the bag back and leaves the place. Only junk inside, Ketsuk announced, disappointed after checking another closet and finding nothing but basic clothes. Dwayne sighed. Such a disappointing sight. They have checked the majority of places available, yet nothing of special has revealed itself to them yet. Hopes were low that their strategy was going to work at all. Man took a step out of the room, leaning against a wall and crossing his arms, visually disappointed in the entire situation. Robin and Beta followed behind, wanting to check on their leader. Sir, are you alright? Dipsy asked. Dwayne paused for a moment, then looked at Dipsy, doing his infamous smirk and eyebrow raise. As always, the man affirmed, bringing peace to the robot's worry. Is there anywhere left to go? Robin questioned, sounding rather hopeless. A few rooms are still left to check on this floor, yes, Dwayne calmly answered. But there's a good chance we missed a door on the lower floors, so we can check again if there's nowhere else to go from here. A tint of hope appeared on the Pokemon's enthusiastic face. Makes sense, he said. What are Madeline, Ketsuk, and Hibbits doing anyway? Dwayne questioned. Hey, the three of you, can you come out? The man shouted, yet not a single sound was heard coming from the room. Dwayne was confused, taking a step into the room, with the other following, and once in the room, they found no one in the room, and how? There's simply no way they could have just left without the other three in the hallway noticing, nor were they any steps heard. Where did they go? Robin questioned. Did something take them? He started to shiver in fear. Dwayne didn't answer. However, as he looked around the room, he noticed something that caught his attention completely. A key. Lying at the corner of the room, he quickly dashed to grab it. However, crack. The floor underneath Dwayne turned into a hole. It was so sudden the man was incapable of reacting. Thankfully, however, the fall wasn't deadly at all, about the same height as the room they were just in, from ceiling to floor. The man stood up, looking around the area. He found himself in rather a dark room, with the only light source being the one coming directly from the hole above him. Then Robin, Spook, and Beta quickly peek at the hole to check on their leader. Sir, are you okay? Dipsy anxiously asked. Yes, no worry, Dwayne calmly answered. It's dark in here, however. Maybe there's a light switch somewhere, Robin expressed her thought. But are you sure you can find it alone? Well, if you wish, you can come down here with me, Dwayne said. Don't fear the jump. I'll make sure to catch you, he affirmed. Robin and Dipsy looked at each other for a moment, as well as seemingly talking. Dwayne could not hear anything about their conversation, however, but the result seemed clear as Dipsy jumped down first, with Dwayne securing his safe fall by catching the robot. After putting Dipsy back on his feet, it was time for Robin to jump, who was as well safely caught by the man. Being put back on feet afterwards, the three of them then began to explore among the walls of the room in order to find a switch. Ow, Dipsy said. I think I hit something hard in here. I felt metal hitting me, Dwayne replied. You hit me. I'm sorry, sir, the robot apologized. Dwayne chuckled a bit. It's okay. No need to apologize, he replied. Suddenly, the lights flickered on. It seemed like Robin finally found the light switch. However, when Dwayne turned to look at her, he was greeted with something completely different. Behind Robin, there was a blueberry-colored giant, just right behind the Pokemon enthusiastic. I found it, he announces, before turning around and getting face-to-face with the thing. The creature lifted the defenseless and frightened Pokemon enthusiastically by the arms, basically effortless. Hey you, pick on someone your own size, Dwayne shouted to the beast in hopes of the creature letting go of Robin. The beast, however, didn't seem to be affected in any way by his threat, seeing as there's no other option. Dwayne charges against the beast with a punch. There's no way something could go wrong in his head. Yet, it did. Dwayne was now staring face to face with the creature. Its proportions were uncanny, with a head bigger than any he'd ever seen, blank big eyes that never stopped staring at the man, and a frightening and malicious smile that stretched from cheek to cheek. The worst part wasn't only that, but the creature seemed very unfazed. Even if Dwayne had just struck through his chest, hell, he could even feel his fist with something stick. However, what he was not ready for was when he decided to check what he had truly hidden. The creature was holding Robin as a meat shield, and Dwayne's fist was striking through the poor Pokemon enthusiastic's chest. The man could see the amount of despair in Robin's face. The scene was just disturbing. Gross. Dwayne felt something twisting in his stomach. Robin was bleeding both directly from her chest as well as her mouth. The pain must have been unbearable, and Dwayne never felt this bad in his life before. He didn't intend for that to happen. Retrieving his fist out, Dwayne stared at the blood in his hand. The blood of a friend, guilt wrapped around his mind, as well as fury gathering up. It all went downhill, however, once the sound of bones cracking was heard. The man tilted his head up, only to see the creature had ripped the head of Robin's spook out of her body, with only its teeth, with more and more bones being cracked as the creature munched on this decapitated head inside its mouth. Beta, seeing the entire situation, dashed away from the room. He couldn't last seeing something so gruesome like that. Yet Dwayne stayed still, as the creature continued to taunt the man with the sounds of the Pokemon enthusiast's head being munched right in his face. Dwayne had enough. The man then attempts to punch the creature. However, its reflexes are much better than he expected. Even if he already had gotten a demonstration a moment ago, and is capable of dodging his hit first. The man attempts again and again, sometimes completely failing, sometimes getting closer, yet the creature seems to be much smarter than he thinks, avoiding every hit flawlessly, as well as taunting the man by eating more and more parts of his fallen friend until only his blood remains in either of them. Once his hands were free from devouring the Pokemon, the beast finally strikes, punching Dwayne with a powerful punch, launching him directly through the wall of the room, directly into the room to the right of them. Such launch power, against a body as strong as stone like Dwayne's, something was wrong, very wrong, about that beast, and for once Dwayne felt weak, very weak. That creature could somehow overmatch the man. If Dwayne wasn't capable of fighting back, then what about the others? They were much weaker compared to the man, so they were in great danger. This was a catastrophe, Dwayne tells himself. He was trying to get out, but wasn't motivated enough after what just happened. The creature approached him, slowly standing in front of him. Both of them stared at each other. The beast with clear enjoyment, while Dwayne had anger, only anger, against the beast. Instead of killing him, however, the creature spares him for now, as it walks out of the room, only leaving a half-injured Dwayne with his own thoughts. And will they find a way out, he wonders? Only time will tell. Yet he knows for sure. Things will just go downhill from here. I really like how Nard incorporated his love for Aoni into the story. Right? It makes it really unique, and you can kind of tell that he put passion into this since he cares about the game. And it's like, I don't know, it's cool. I like it. Good job, Nard. Now on to my story, which is simply called Judgment Day. Only 5 teams remain: the Swivelhand Bashers, Lounge, Team E, Pufferfish Gaming, and Amity Society. Despite it being a competition, the team members are all on peaceful terms, each appearing as a friend to each other. Quiet ones are eliminated to refrain from eliminating the active people. However, there are no quiet people left. The teams will be forced to send off those they care about. As Judgment Day nears, the challenges become harder. The competitors are forced to battle others, knowing that their victory puts their friends at risk of elimination. As the competitors witness others vote off those they care about most, what's been missing since the beginning of the competition finally becomes apparent: tension. The teams are narrowed down to the most active members, consisting of only 10 members, and rather than the usual friendly interaction between teams, the competitors are beginning to lash out onto others for voting off their closest friends. Dwayne Johnson, the host of the competition, watches as the competitors continue arguing, unsure of how to stop the anarchy. He soon realizes he is left with no choice. He paints everyone once again in the challenges channel. Dwayne: there are no longer teams. Everyone must defend themselves in the upcoming challenges. Your current task is to create an art piece containing a person you feel should be eliminated. The server goes quiet. Whether it's because they are working on the challenge, or because they are unsure of how to respond to the sudden news, it's apparent that the tension is eased momentarily. However, due to the task of the challenge, tension is sure to rise in the future as submissions are entered. A submission breaks the silence of the competition. The art reveals that Gumball has voted for Frogger due to him starting the voting of active members. However, the next submission reveals Eeveeon voting for Gumball, arguing the vote was necessary for the preparation of this moment. Frogger remains quiet, wanting to let the chat argue amongst himself rather than involving himself in the battle. He waits to put in his vote, knowing that having the last vote could be the make or break moment. Raptor votes for Gumball as well, backing up with Eeveeon's reasoning, and also partly due to being overall better friends with Frogger and Eeveeon. Gumball begins begging others to vote for Eeveeon or Raptor due to the rebellious voting. Tension has returned. 2 submissions are quickly entered, coming from PunMaster and Nugget, revealing both voting against Raptor. Eeveeon warns the rest of the 5 remaining votes that Gumball is just trying to sway the vote as they once used to. When the server consisted of inactive members, votes were manipulated as someone followed the votes of others. There's a moment of silence again. There's still tension between the competitors, but they are unsure of how to express their beliefs without appearing rude. Therefore, they remain quiet until the next submission to begin a conversation again. The silence is broken. Both Ketsuk and Daiju voted for Gumball, making the vote 4-2 against Gumball and Raptor. Only 3 votes remain. Frogger quietly smirks to himself, realizing he is now safe from elimination. Gumball remains quiet, unsure of how to respond to the situation. He's shocked that after coming so far in the competition and remaining possibly the most active member, his time is coming to an end. He sighs to himself and awaits the next submission. The sound of 2 pains forced Gumball gaze upwards. Both Hibits and Sayasuke sided with him. The vote is tied 4-4 between him and Raptor, but he sighs again and realizing the final vote is in Frogger's hands. His time is at an end. He made a mistake, and it's too late to fix it. Frogger again smiles to himself at realizing the vote went perfectly. He submits his art, revealing it to show himself. The final vote is 4-4-2 between Gumball, Raptor, and Frogger. Raptor is in awe at the frogs staring at him on his screen. He pains Frogger, asking him to change his vote before it is too late, but Nugget points out that Dwayne is typing in challenges. He begins typing a hate message to Frogger, but Frogger sends a message before he finishes typing. Oh shoot, I'm so sorry, Raptor. I was just voting myself for comedic purposes. I should have looked at the votes before submitting that. Raptor stares at his screen blankly, soaking in the words. As he begins typing again, he notices a pain in the challenge server. He realizes his fate is near, and clicking onto the channel, he reads his final message. It has been a pleasure having you in the competition, Raptor. Your quotes inspired us all every day. In Gumball, your optimism and dedication to the competition was a pleasure to witness. Thank you both for contributing so much. I hope you have a good day. Raptor quickly clicks into General to type one last message, one last goodbye to his friends, one last tribute to the competition. Frogger, I understand it was an honest mistake. I forgive you, and you'll be one of the ones I'm rooting for. Goodbye. Thank you everyone for making this competition a good time. Gumball, reading the same message Raptor read a moment ago, becomes irritated at how easily Eeveeon swayed the vote. He goes to type a message against him, but before he can finish, he's added to the spectator section along with Raptor. Only 8 competitors remain. For the following 24 hours, the server remained quiet due to the loss of 2 friends. No one knew what to say, so they took the time to cope over the losses. When the next day came, so did another pain in the challenge server that broke the silence. 5 days remain until Judgment Day, and only 8 competitors remain. The last 2 members to provide in DMs what character I voiced in a 2009 film about aliens will be eliminated. The challenge was simple, but not knowing how quickly the other competitors are completing the challenge makes it stressful. Each competitor races to first figure out the movie, each member quickly figuring it out to be Platinum 51. After figuring out the movie, they race to find the character Dwayne voiced, which happened to be Captain Charles T. Baker. After less than 5 minutes of the challenge being announced, each member has already submitted an answer. Dwayne begins to type in challenges, the competitors watch in anticipation. Each member was hasty to give an answer. However, 2 of you were slower than the others. The first member to complete the challenge was Eeveeon, followed by Frogger, Nugget, Pun, Ketsuk, Sayasuke, and finally leaving our 2 losers, Daiju and Hibits. Hibits, you always tried your best with each challenge, even if it didn't pertain to your skill set. Your dedication to the competition was apparent in your submissions. Daiju, you entered the competition late, but proved to be a worthy opponent. Your game-making skills are truly notable, and I look forward to your future projects. Thank you both for participating. I hope you have a good day. 6 competitors remain. After a long silence, conversation begins again in general. Despite their personal grudges against each other, the members have a friendly conversation. Knowing that the competition is near an end, they tell memories of everything they had gone through, from the starting challenge of figuring out the other teams, to the complicated code to figuring out the game of Online Night Shift, to the stunning art all of the competitors offered, and to the present with tough decisions every day. The competitors began to feel empathy towards each other for lashing out, even though they all share similar feelings. After a peaceful conversation, something the server hasn't seen for nearly a week, the competitors head off to bed to await their next challenge in the morning. When the members get online, they realize Dwayne has already sent the instructions for the next challenge. Seeing as the competition is near an end, I would like to remind you all of the many challenges you conquered in order to be reading this message. Each member is to tell me a challenge we did in the past and tell who they would like to participate in it. The number of members eliminated today depends on the challenges you offer and the people you want to participate. Each member scrolls through general, looking at the challenges they talked about the previous day to come up with a decision. Some members decide on challenges with a peaceful outcome, resulting in no members being eliminated. However, a select few pick challenges that they hope will get multiple members eliminated. The majority of the members pick the first ever challenge, simply state the team names in order to cause no eliminations. One member, Eeveeon, picks the creating emoji challenge, as you remember that also resulted in no eliminations. However, Pun chose the challenge of creating a song as he knows he will excel at that. Frogger decides on a more recent challenge that got Raptor and Gumball eliminated. Both chose to include all members, resulting in 2 challenges that would result in eliminations. The server erupts into an uproar. The competitors argue to the two that they want to see the numbers drop, but Frogger and Pun argue back that they are only doing what they feel will result in the least amount of eliminations as long as there is cooperation. However, Frogger never admits that he wants to attempt a double elimination again. Before the fight can roar on longer, a painter was received in the challenges chat providing the rules of each challenge the competitors chose. The harmless challenges are completed rather quickly, and Pun was quick to enter a submission for his music challenge. Before the members began to create music, they decided to get Frogger's challenge out of the way first. As submissions are entered, no accusations or fighting occurs. The members are too focused on completing all aspects in order to ensure their survival. Frogger again holds his vote until he sees all the others have submitted a vote, so he decides to start creating a song. The first vote enters, coming in from Eeveeon. It's a vote towards Sayasuke. In return, Sayasuke votes Eeveeon back. No fighting occurs. Following Sayasuke's lead, Nugget also votes for Eeveeon. Ketsuk puts his vote towards Sayasuke, hoping to save his friend. However, Pun swiftly creates an art piece of Eeveeon pointing a gun at himself, putting his vote towards him. Half of the votes are on Eeveeon. No matter what, he is gone from the competition. Once again, the votes win in Frogger's favor, realizing he can cause a double elimination. Creating his own art piece, he votes Sayasuke, and the vote is tied 3-3 between Sayasuke and Eeveeon. Well, it's been a fun ride. Thank you for the many memories you guys offered. If you want to win, just know you have to be as original as me. I was afraid this day would come. Despite the many dramas we had here, I'm happy to have met all of you. I hope you all enjoyed my stories, but I think the story of this competition is my favorite one yet. Dwayne doesn't type in challenges yet regarding the elimination of the two. He waits for the music to be submitted. Pun had already submitted his song first, showing it to be a rather original piece with Megalovania tied into it. Nugget is the second to submit a song, showing to be a recreation of the original intro music. Frogger is the next to submit a song. It's his own original creation, which he feels will provide a better chance of surviving due to the originality that Eeveeon has always been striving for. Ketsuk is the last to submit, recreating Pigstep for Minecraft to share his love of the game. The silence after the submissions are entered is deafening. Each competitor waits for the results of the challenge, begging to be able to live another day. Dwayne begins typing. I'll start with the obvious eliminations. Eeveeon, it has been a pleasure having you with us. You've been here since Season 2, and your leadership truly stood out amongst the others. Sayasuke, your passion for alimony is contagious. Your love for horror and writing story makes you unique, and I hope you can make use of it in the future. Thank you both for participating. I hope you have a good day. Now for the music challenge. All of you made amazing pieces. However, I have narrowed it down to Ketsuk and Nugget due to their submissions being recreations rather than original songs. Although both songs are truly outstanding, I must sadly choose one of you to go, and that person is Ketsuk. Nugget's recreation of the intro truly brought the spirit of today's challenge perfectly, and I've decided that because of the memories it brought, Ketsuk is sadly the loser. Ketsuk, your love for Minecraft and skill at games is amazing. It is sad to see you go, and I hope that in the future you may recreate moments from this challenge in Minecraft. Have a good day. Ketsuk is too awestruck to write a last goodbye. The 3 members are added to the spectator section. 3 competitors remain. The next morning, Dwayne has already paid everyone once again regarding the challenge. The competitors' eyes all leap towards the words on screen. 3 days remain until Judgment Day, and 3 competitors remain. For today, you must create a triangle of sorts with your own unique twist. Good luck. The competitors are rather confused at the challenge. They know a triangle is three-sided, referencing the three members, but figuring out a way to make a triangle unique is what struck them. Frogger is quick to decide how to do his challenge. Going off the basis that the three sides represent the three members, he decides to incorporate the competition into his triangle. One angle will showcase the inactive members, the ones that barely talked, and the least memorable of the bunch. Another angle will contain the active members that desire to lose the inactive members, the ones that strive for friendship despite being enemies. The last angle will contain the active members with the mindset that the enemies are enemies, not friends. The ones that are blamed for the drama in the server. He quickly goes to work, thinking his idea will work. PunMaster makes a triangle based off of his own personal likings. One side will contain Friday Night Funkin' and the mods he has created. Another side will contain his passion for custom nights, including characters from his own games. The last side will showcase his passion for music, using characters as references to songs. Nugget is slow to make a decision. There's so much opportunity, yet such a small palette to put it inside of. Remembering the intro creation he made yesterday, he decides to make each side represent a different memorable intro. One side will contain the Season 2 intro, another side will contain Gumball's intro from the Create an Intro challenge, mainly to commemorate his lost friend. The last side will contain the Season 3 intro, the one Frogger made. Once all three competitors have an idea of what to do, they get to work on their triangles, careful not to go outside the lines or mix any colors, knowing that any slight error may make the difference between winning and losing. When the triangles are finished, they are submitted and Dwayne thoroughly inspects them, taking in every detail within the small shape. As Dwayne decides who to eliminate, conversation starts. However, it is not as peaceful today. Nugget strikes at Frogger, blaming him for the loss of Gumball. Because of the day's challenge, he has been reminded of the friend he lost, and he wants revenge. Frogger argues that he was simply following the rules of the competition, and he never voted for Gumball, meaning he isn't the cause of his death. Pun only watches, unsure of how to budge in. Nugget yells again, explaining that if Frogger didn't convince others that voting active members was okay, then Gumball may still be here. Frogger calmly explains back, saying it's only part of the competition, and the hard choices would eventually have to start. As the two get deeper into the fight, a notification releases the tension from the two. I am impressed by your creativity. To fit so many memories and symbols into a small shape is truly notable. However, one of your triangles failed to touch me as deeply as the others. Pun, although your triangle is beautiful, it does not bring any memories to me like the other two do. Your ability to create music, art, and games is like no other. You have a variety of skills that may be of use, and I hope the future will help further increase your variety palette of skills. It has been a pleasure having you. I hope you have a good day. Nugget and Frogger can no longer bring themselves to fight, realizing they are the only two left. PunMaster is still too afraid to talk in general, and is therefore silently sent to the spectator section. Two competitors remain. Tomorrow is Judgment Day, and only two of you remain. The challenge for today is to relax. Prepare for tomorrow. Only one will survive. Nugget and Frogger read the challenge, slight relief washing over them as he realized there is no need for tension today. Nugget does not want to start an argument again like he did yesterday, noticing that it only causes the chat to become uncomfortable. Frogger also doesn't type, not wanting to risk hurting his character the day before Judgment Day. Judging by the name, he is assuming that how he appears to the competition is important. The day passes quickly, the break from the competition proving to be short-lived. Before long, the next and final challenge is sent. Today is November 21st, Judgment Day. You both have come a long way and have learned many unique skills and made many new friends. As you have done so, you made a reputation for yourself in the server. Today, the challenge is directed towards the spectators. They must decide who they feel is worthy of winning the competition. Evaluate their every decision in the competition and judge whether those decisions are enough to let them win. Choose wisely. Nugget quickly types in general, bringing up memories to make himself appear good. However, Frogger points out the falseness in his reasoning, stating that he is only saying good points and ignoring the other side, being him to get more trust. Nugget doesn't deny the claim, and he then continues to bring more memories. Frogger uses the same tactic, bringing good memories of himself, except he also has another trick up his sleeve. He starts to bring up bad memories of himself, and then he elaborates on what he did wrong and admits that he should have done differently. Nugget is in awe. Frogger then points out the bad memories of Nugget, mainly consisting of the recent arguments that caused awkwardness in the server, and that only he and his group fueled. He elaborated that the awkwardness led to several silent deaths, and we never got a heartfelt goodbye from some of the ones we care about most. Nugget was too taken aback to respond. He in a way agreed with him, and Frogger's wording only persuaded him more. The spectators fell into the same slippery slope as Nugget, and the judgment is quickly decided. Frogger received the most votes by a landslide. Judgment Day has worked in his favor. Nugget, you've always been a friend to everyone in this server, and your kindness is something that resonates within us all. Thank you for the good memories you have provided here. I hope you have a good day. The votes went quicker than I expected, and I am happy to announce Frogger as the winner of the competition. Thank you everyone for participating, although I feel I should explain the truth behind the competition. Frogger and the spectators waited with anticipation, eager for the reasoning of the competition. Throughout the competition, I have learned a lot about everyone here. Your interests, your dislikes, your names, your addresses. At the beginning, I told you all that only the winner survives. Ever since you all clicked onto my social media, I have had your IPs. To the losers of the competition, it has been an honor knowing you. I truly enjoyed having all of you here, but I must stick to my word. Hitmen will be arriving at your houses shortly to carry out the deed. Because Frogger survived Judgment Day, he has been granted the freedom of life. Goodbye. Before Frogger could type to ask for mercy of his friends, the server was deleted, and the user Dwayne Johnson was deleted with it. Frogger attempted to type to his friends to get their attention, but he was left delivered for each message sent. Tears began to swell in his eyes, realizing his greed for success caused the death of the people he cared about most. I'm gonna be honest, I thought of that twist ending the last second, and I was pretty proud of it. So yeah. Alright, after a stupid long amount of reading, there's only one story left, and I made sure to leave the best, in my opinion, for last. This one is written by Eeveeon, and it is called Frogger25 x Eeveeon Gamer 27. Really hot. Trust me, it's really hot. The Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson competition had been going on for months. In this battle of wits, many Discord users came together to fight for the prize. Something. Honestly, Eeveeon had forgotten what they were fighting for, but it didn't really matter. He had his team that he wished to protect, Team E, named after the most common letter in the English language. There were some people outside of his team who he really cared about, though. One of these people was Frogger. Frogger was a very cool dude. He was insanely good at playing tough video games, particularly horror, and was pretty decent at the art of modeling and the art of being poggers. If anyone else had those skills, Eeveeon would have tried to get them out as soon as possible. After a particular grueling challenge that led to the end of Gumball Swivelhands, both Eeveeon and Frogger were feeling a bit down. The previous season had seen them and Gumball forming the dream team. The three of them together were unstoppable. Frogger would demolish the gaming challenges. Gumball's art never failed to impress, and Eeveeon, he was pretty funny, I guess, so they kept him around. With the death of Gumball, their time in the competition would be far more difficult. Of course, after the last season, they were split up. Sent off to be team leaders, they were too powerful to remain together. As such, while they had communicated throughout the competition, they never got to really work together. This morning, they noticed each other was online, and started to communicate only through direct messages. "What are you doing up this early?" asked Frogger. "Couldn't sleep. I'm assuming you had the same problem." They both knew each other was stressed after the last elimination. Soon the conversation went to what was going to go now. Can't really have an illegal alliance of our teams, can we? Why shouldn't we? The other teams all suck balls. We both know that Team E is going to destroy the competition. Frogger didn't particularly like Eeveeon shitting on his team indirectly, but you couldn't deny how inconsistent his team had performed. After a while of talking through their DMs, they realized it would just be easier to speak directly to each other. So they got on the general voice chat. That way, if no one else from either teams wanted to join in the discussion, they could. While they were vibing in the BC, they began to discuss life. It wasn't a philosophical discussion, only talking about how their lives outside of the competition were. Eeveeon started ranting, to which Frogger listened like the chat he is. After a while, Frogger sent a flushed emote. Eeveeon was surprised. This flushed emote felt different from all the previous flushed emotes Frogger had sent. He sent a flushed emote back. Then they kissed. Since they were obviously chatting through the screen, they didn't kiss the screen. Instead, they both opened their mouths and guided their tongues across the country where they met and did a sort of handshake. It was very difficult to do since they couldn't see the other tongue from where they were back at home. One thing is for sure though, it was really freaking hot. As their tongues continued to swirl, they spammed the flushed emoji in their chat as they correctly summarized the situation. Dwayne woke up one morning with the perfect challenge planned. I'm sorry. Each of the teams are going to have a work together in order to solve a virtual escape room. He smiled to himself, knowing that the footage would be perfect for his final product. As he opened up Discord, he noticed that 2 people were in the general VC. He joined to see what they were doing. He found out that the things they were doing were each other. This was the most disgusting thing he had ever seen on Discord. Like, seriously, what the fuck is this? Dwayne knew what he had to do. He started typing, not in the challenges channel, but in the announcement channel. I'm sorry, it's so funny. He typed for half an hour, sending the messages when he ran out of space. He went on about the pointlessness of existence and the sins of humanity. Seeing what he... Oh my god. Seeing what he had seen in the voice chat had told him humanity was too far gone. He announced the cancellation of the competition. He would be blocking everyone involved and hoped they would forget it had ever happened. Before he blocked Frogger and Eeveeon, he realized just blocking them wouldn't be enough. He knew the states both of them lived in, so he called for 2 nuclear missiles to be sent to those states. The world would be no longer have to tolerate the horrific love of Frogger and Eeveeon. No, Dwayne The Rock Johnson is not homophobic. He would have been just as disturbed by the event if one of the 2 people was female. I want to make that clear. I forgot how funny that is. I'm almost crying, dude. When the voting for this challenge was posted, Eeveeon and I decided that we should probably vote Epic Donko Gamer Ban, because as explained in Jonak's story, this was an alt of Jonak's, and we decided that because he has 2 people in the elimination, and we decided that because he has 2 people in the competition, he has 2 votes, which would greatly help him, and he can kind of work as a spy. So we decided that it'd be best to get him out for strategy purposes and just for unfairness purposes of the competition. However, when we brought this idea up, Dwayne said that if we vote him, then the alts of Jonak will also go, including Jonak as well. After some debating, Dwayne decided it would be best just to remove the alts from the competition. So Epic Gamer Dolphafan and D3 alts were removed, and Jonak was there to stay. So rather than voting Epic Gamer Dolphafan, Lil Parrot, Charlotte Joke, and Tingle Mangle all went away. So the next challenge was to create our own video game, which is probably the hardest one in the entire competition, I think, because programming is something. We had to also make a little gameplay footage of our game, just so it can be included in the intro and rated. Shortly after this, Dwayne announced that the next intro will contain all of the ratings for the games, and he says how it will also announce the final challenge of the season, which was honestly some pretty exciting news, knowing that the next season was near. So here's the intro, showcasing all of the video games that were created.
Three, two, one, go! Three, two, one, go!
deposit you are attempting to Thank you for depositing 5 coins.
Uh-oh, how unfortunate. Uh-oh, how unfortunate. I know how much you like to fight, so I'll add a new problem to your night.
So the challenge that was announced after the intro, that being the final challenge, was to create our own challenge. We had to think of whatever we can do, and we had to do that challenge for ourselves. So it's a pretty interesting concept, and the challenges was rated on how impressive it was in Dwayne's opinion. Or, rather not Dwayne's opinion, but I'll explain that later on. Dwayne decided to put 2 people up for elimination from each team just to try and dwindle down the numbers some. However, no one on my team was online to choose those 2 people, so he asked General of who he thinks we would pick, and Eeveeon decided to be funny and say myself, and that's it. Which, that's kind of risky, I don't know, but I mean, honestly, I probably would have been fine to be honest, since I was kind of one of the faces of the competition, so I probably wouldn't have gone. However, during this vote, it was shown that Pizza still had a loyalty to Team E, to where he ignored Amity's request of voting Birdly, and even said all hail E. This will come into play later. The vote ended up losing Karma, Scent of a Snake, and Madeline. All 3 from my team. Huge hit, Jesus. And here comes that Pizza betrayal again, to where Pizza was invited back to Team E, and Dwayne announced how his loyalty to Team E kinda caused him here, and he was seen as a cheater, and kinda, this was his punishment, just on a lonesome team. Now there's a bit of a tension here that started, which would bring on for quite a bit, and we'll see this carry through more in Season 4. And Pizza kinda started to be more of a peacekeeper in the server. I don't know, it's whenever something chaotic happens, he was the one that tried to fix it, I guess is the way to put it. However, I really like the response that Dwayne gave to him. So every time drama starts, I try my hardest to fix it. This competition means a lot to me, and I don't just treat you like pawns. The reason I eliminate you is to start tension and drama, which is the whole point of this competition. If you can't handle my choices, then I don't care if you leave. And this is a point that I've been really trying to hammer down onto everyone, especially with that tough vote that I did early on, which caused Hibbit to get angry. I really wanted to pin down the fact that there are going to be tough decisions, and the point of competitions is that there's going to be drama, and it's unavoidable. People are going to just kind of dislike others, and people are going to clash. That's normal. I wanted people to know that, but I don't know. I was getting a little irritated at some points, and I was happy to see Dwayne put this in words, so. Anyways, drama out the window. We'll go through each challenge that came out of the Create Your Own challenge. The first challenge came from Birdly, and his challenge was to simply do Twisted 6, which, if you played Animator Cell, that's fairly simple, since I think that can be a free roster. Charlie's challenge was to do Night 1 and One Night of Flumpies 3, pretty simple. My challenge was to 100% the game, which, knowing that Dwayne wanted the impressive factor, I decided to say that what makes mine impressive is the fact that I was the first person to go through the full game. That scored me some points, but was it enough? I guess we'll see later on. Gangster drew Gumball. Jack drew Gumball. Nugget drew Gumball. A lot of people like Gumball. I mean, Gumball's a likable dude. Robin did a Friday Night Funkin' mod, so that's pretty cool. And Gumball's submission, in my opinion, was the best one. And here it is. It's a Civil War banner of showing how everyone's kind of against each other and no longer a team. Which, hey, this will kind of be true soonish, which we'll see in Season 4. Now, as I said, Dwayne wasn't the one that decided, and he decided to let the mods rate it. So here's the voting, starting with Sayasuke, Gumball, and here's me rating it. We can all see that I think we all gave Gumball a 10 out of 10, except for Gumball, since Gumball's very critical of his art for some reason, despite it being really good. I don't know why. And after that Create Your Own challenge thingy, Pizza Lover was the one eliminated, which, honestly, I'm not too surprised to see that after seeing how he felt after betraying Amity. And that's basically where the season ends. It ends in a sort of tension-filled way as opposed to the last season. To our last season, it was more of a bringing of life, inviting people to the server, and we're all so ecstatic. And in this season, we saw so many of our friends go, and there's tension there with a betrayal to Amity, the vote that I caused, especially. And, like, we can see Dwayne getting a little more frustrated with us as we kind of... We cause more drama more than anything. and I can imagine why he'd be angry. But yeah, going into Season 4, we'll see that this tension stays, and rather than stay, it more of increases, and we'll get to that when we get to that. Anyways, that is all for Season 3, which, a lot longer than Season 2, obviously, which, hey, that's fine. So that's all for today. Hope you guys enjoyed. Have a good day, and I will see you next time. Peace.
Ribbit, 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 ribbit. We are the frogs. Ribbit, ribbit.